The truth about André Onana is far worse than anyone is admitting. His time at Manchester United exposed a shocking secret that will change how you see goalkeepers forever. What the stats are hiding about his performance is absolutely devastating. You have to watch until the end to discover the real reason he became the biggest liability in football. At Manchester United, André Onana was supposed to be the beginning of a new era. David De Gea had been cast aside, a loyal servant whose years of brilliance had given way to accusations that he no longer fit the demands of Erik ten Hag's modern footballing vision. The club wanted a goalkeeper who was as comfortable with the ball at his feet as a midfielder, a man who could stitch defense and fit into one seamless pattern. They paid £43.8 million to that dream, and they believed Onana was the man to deliver it. What they received instead was a nightmare. From his first appearance in a United shirt, the signs were there against Wolverhampton Wanderers, with United holding a fragile 1-0 lead. He came charging into an opposition striker and sent him sprawling. Somehow, VAR spared him, but the recklessness was a warning. In the weeks that followed, mistakes piled up with unnerving regularity. A soft Leroy Sané shot in Munich rolled beneath him, a gift so inexplicable it silenced even Bayern's home crowd for a moment. Against Galatasaray at Old Trafford, he passed the ball straight to Dries Mertens, forcing Case Moreau into a desperate foul and a red card. Even when the penalty was missed, the collapse came, and Onana's error stood at the heart of it. In Turkey, the humiliation deepened. Hakim Ziyech bent in free kicks that a goalkeeper of his caliber should have handled with ease. But one slipped through his gloves, another slid under his arm, and United left the pitch with their lead squandered. Every week seemed to add a new entry to his catalog of calamities. In the Premier League, he was caught wandering off his line against Brighton, punished for indecision. At Sheffield United, the league's weakest side, he tried to play out from the back, sent a limp pass straight to Jayden Bogle, and almost gifted defeat to a team destined for relegation. Against Lyon in the Europa League, his blunders reached the point of ridicule. First, he misjudged a free kick so badly it bounced past him into the net. Then he pushed a routine save straight into the path of an opponent who scored. Jokes spread across England that he could not even save a Word document, that he was Santa Claus handing out goals instead of presents, that Manchester United had recruited not a goalkeeper, but a liability. The descent was relentless. Supporters who once dreamed of a bold sweeper-keeper now groaned in despair whenever the ball rolled to his feet. What had been his greatest strength at Inter Milan, his distribution, his calmness under pressure, looked like arrogance and carelessness in Manchester. Instead of inspiring confidence, he infected his defense with panic. Every mistake magnified the club's own dysfunction. By the time the season staggered into 2025, his reputation was shredded. He was no longer described as a top-class goalkeeper, but as the worst in United's history, a cruel label that echoed week after week. The truth was unavoidable. The Old Trafford chapter was a failure, a toxic marriage between a fragile team and a goalkeeper whose boldness curdled into recklessness. Yet to truly understand how steep the fall was, one must step back to where it all began. In 2010, at just 14 years old, André Onana entered the gates of Barcelona's La Masia. This was no ordinary academy. It was a crucible that forged Lionel Messi, Xavi Hernandez, and Andres Iniesta. For a boy from Kolnok in Cameroon, it was a leap into the highest level of footballing education. Because of FIFA regulations, he spent spells at smaller local clubs like Cornella and Vista Alegre while waiting for eligibility. But his foundation remained La Masia's philosophy: possession, composure, intelligence with the ball. Even as a goalkeeper, he was taught that his feet mattered as much as his hands. By 2014, with his contract nearing its end and the senior pathway blocked by the sheer depth of talent at Barcelona, he made a decision that would define his early career. He left for Ajax. Ajax, the Dutch powerhouse famed for giving you the chance, saw potential. He began in Jong Ajax, the reserve side, competing in the Dutch second division. But when Jasper Cillessen departed in 2016, opportunity knocked. Onana stepped in, and once he claimed the gloves, he never surrendered them. By 21, he was guarding the net in a Europa League final against Manchester United. By 23, he was the heartbeat of Ajax's astonishing Champions League run in 2019, when they dismantled Real Madrid and Juventus, only to be denied in the semi-final by Tottenham's last-minute miracle. At Ajax, he became more than a goalkeeper. He became a symbol of modern football. With the ball at his feet, he orchestrated play like an outfield player. Edwin van der Sar, once a legendary goalkeeper and now the club CEO, encouraged him to keep taking risks, to treat passing as an art. Fans called him fearless, sometimes too confident, but always extraordinary. He won 3 Eredivisie titles, and his name entered conversations about the best young goalkeepers in the world. Then came February 2021, and with it, disaster. A failed doping test shook his career to its core. Onana pleaded his innocence, explaining that he had mistakenly taken his wife's medication, confusing it for aspirin. UEFA agreed there was no intent to cheat, but banned him nonetheless. 12 months, later reduced to 9. The punishment was brutal. From playing every match, he was suddenly exiled, forbidden from training, condemned to isolation while Ajax marched on without him. He described it later as the loneliest period of his life, a year when football's rhythm abandoned him. When he returned, the bond with Ajax was fractured, his contract wound down. By 2022, after 214 appearances, his chapter in Amsterdam closed, leaving behind a legacy of triumph and bitterness. Inter Milan opened the next door. Signed on a free transfer, he was initially rotated with Samir Handanovic, but his talent quickly reclaimed the number 1 role. In Italy, he looked reborn. In the 2022-2023 Champions League, he recorded more clean sheets than any other goalkeeper, 7 in 13 games, and carried Inter all the way to the final in Istanbul. Against Manchester City, though Inter lost 1-0, his performance drew admiration even from Pep Guardiola, who marveled at his ability to play as if he were a midfielder disguised in gloves. Inter celebrated the Supercoppa Italiana and the Coppa Italia, and Onana stood at the center of it all. At 27, he appeared to have reached his prime, a goalkeeper of the highest order. Yet even here, controversy lingered. At the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, his refusal to abandon his philosophy of building from the back led to a clash with Cameroon's coach. After one game, he was sent home. It was a stark reminder that Onana's greatest strength, his unshakable belief in his way of playing, could also fracture relationships. Inter, facing financial strain, sold him in the summer of 2023. Manchester United came calling, desperate for a new identity. The reunion with Erik ten Hag, once his mentor at Ajax, seemed destined for success. Instead, it became the undoing of his reputation. At Old Trafford, the boldness that dazzled in Amsterdam and Milan transformed into recklessness. The confidence that inspired teammates became arrogance that invited collapse. He was no longer hailed as a pioneer, but condemned as a calamity. His every mistake was magnified by the scale of the club he represented, a club already drowning in dysfunction. By early 2025, the verdict was harsh and unavoidable. André Onana was no longer Manchester United's future, but its most glaring mistake. And so came exile. In 2025, the club sent him on loan to Trabzonspor. For Manchester United, it was a chance to move on. For Onana, it was both humiliation and opportunity. No longer the centerpiece of a global club, he found himself in Turkey, far from the glare of English football, tasked not with lifting trophies under the world's brightest lights, but with salvaging pride in quieter stadiums. For some, this represented the beginning of redemption, a chance to rediscover the fundamentals away from relentless scrutiny. For others, it was confirmation that his peak was over, that the man who once ruled Europe's nets was now consigned to obscurity. The arc of André Onana's career reads like a modern football tragedy. From the polish of La Masia to the glory of Ajax, from the heights of Inter's Champions League run to the depths of Manchester United's chaos, and finally to a lone spell in Turkey, he has lived both ecstasy and humiliation. At Ajax, he was a fearless innovator. At Inter, he was the wall of Istanbul. At United, he became a punchline. And at Trabzonspor, he now searches for a way back. What makes his story so haunting is the transformation of strengths into weaknesses. His distribution, once visionary, turned careless. His bravery, once admired, looked reckless. His confidence, once infectious, appeared delusional. The very qualities that had made him one of Europe's best became the reasons for his downfall. He is a reminder that football careers are fragile, balanced not just on ability but on environment, timing, and trust. André Onana today stands not as the conqueror of Europe, but as its cautionary tale. He is remembered not only for the saves that once electrified Amsterdam and Milan, but for the fumbles that embarrassed Manchester. His story is not finished, but its chapters already echo with the lessons of hubris, resilience, and the cruel caprice of football. At an age when many goalkeepers step into their peak, he instead carries the scars of decline. At Trabzonspor, he may yet find redemption, but even if he does, he will always be remembered as the man who touched greatness and fell, a symbol of promise undone by the weight of mistakes. Do you think André Onana deserves redemption after everything that has happened? Or do you believe his downfall at Manchester United has already sealed his legacy? Share your opinion in the comments and let the debate unfold. And if you want more honest football stories that go deeper than the headlines, don't forget to subscribe.